They say the pen is mightier than the sword, suggesting that diplomacy and communication are a more meaningful and absolute way to stop violence than, well, stabbing something with a big sharp object. Unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, Terraria didn't exactly get the memo. I mean, sure, there are pacifist runs and challenges where your character themselves never technically attacks the enemies by letting minions or traps do the dirty work instead. But what if we took it a step further and turned one of the very peripherals we use to play Terraria into the weapon itself? Sorry if this sucks, it was the closest analogy I can think of while writing the script, and we make do. Introducing the Clicker class, a mod that turns our humble little mouse cursor into the deadliest thing on the entire screen. With brand new weapons, armor, accessories, and modifiers, it gives us a completely new way to play Terraria. And by new way to play, I mean it turns every boss fight into a competitive cookie clicker tournament where somehow you've made it all the way to the final bracket. Your hands cramping, you've been clicking for so long and so fast that your mouse is starting to look like one of those Minecraft speed bridge building ones with the tape. You know the ones. The boss is almost dead and you just need a few more clicks and you know you can finish the fight. Why wouldn't you? You've done it before. But the real question is whether or not your hand can keep up long enough to pull it off. So as always, that brings us to the question. Can I beat Terraria only using my cursor? While we do the basic setup in the background of early game gathering, house building and such, I'll briefly explain just how the clicker class works. So there are clickers, cursors, for pretty much everything. Boss drops, ores, you name it. Each with their own special effect, apart from the basic wooden one. Some could pull enemies in or explode after a certain amount of clicks, and each one provides an area around your character which increases with the quality. Now as long as your cursor is in that circle and you're clicking, you can deal damage. Nice and simple. Once we're all situated, we head out with our basic wooden clicker in hand. We have a little explore of our local area, both above and below ground, and end up finding a buried pyramid pretty close to our home, and oh, look at that, an upgrade to our weapon already. The Pharaoh's Clicker, which granted is only a small increase to damage, but a very welcome one. We set ourselves up a little makeshift storage area, a little block of council flats, and an arena for use in the future. But it's time to start collecting some accessories that'll power our cursor for the run, starting with the Soda, which reduces the number of clicks needed for each clicker's special ability, and the Cookie, which adds cookies we can click within our circle that empowers us if we click those instead of the enemy. So let's test it out in the Eye of Cthulhu. Which granted takes a little while due to our abysmal damage output, but it's still relatively easily felled, and it drops us the Sinister Clicker. Lovely. Well, one flashy boss has been dealt with, so let's challenge another. The Brain of Cthulhu, which honestly with our clicker having knockback is probably the easiest boss of the entire run. With our attacks bouncing back the little minions it spawns, and every time it gets close it's pushed back, it barely deals any damage. We make ourselves some crimson armor and take on the King Slime. The big sack of sludge goes down without much of a fight, but he is needed for our run as he drops the sticky key, which ends up staying with us for the entire challenge, to some degree at least. The sticky key puts damaging splats of slime on the screen after a certain amount of clicks, making it great for increasing our terrible damage output. So let's test it by fast tracking some bosses. Our beloved Queen Bee is first, who isn't much of a challenge and falls even quicker now that we have the red hot clicker from the underworld, which ignites enemies, dealing damage over time. But she's always fun to fight. Big fan of Leapfrog. Then it's Skeletron time, who weirdly decides to stay still for most of the fight, allowing us to just get free damage off and deal with him all too easily considering how weak our weapon is. But we desperately need the Goblin Tinkerer now who's defeated, as they're going to be essential for making certain items viable and granting us access to more items and accessories within the clicker class itself. We try waiting for Goblin Scouts to spawn for almost a week in game, but none do. So it's time for the next best thing. Laying in bed at home and waiting for the days to pass quicker. See, in pre-hard mode, and because we haven't had an invasion prior, we have a 1 in 3 chance of an army invading every morning, as long as it's sunny. But after weeks of in-game waiting, nothing. We actually get our Blood Moon first, immediately followed by the goblins we were waiting for. We deal with a gaggle of green goobers and set out finding the Tinkerer to use his Tinkerer's workshop to create the Gamer Crate, which is gonna save my hand from getting carpal tunnel in the long run. By combining some of our previous accessories, we're able to make the Gamer Crate, which buffs all of our damage, our radius, etc., but it also allows us to auto-use our clickers. No more manually tapping the left mouse button. We hold left click and 8 clicks a second. Mwah! Beautiful. The Guardian of Hard Mode, the Wall of Flesh, is our next challenge, so we spend some time building a little runway for us to move along during the fight. You all know how it goes. But with our red hot clicker dealing damage over time, the knockback from our clickers in general, and the slime on screen from the sticky key dealing contact damage, we're able to deal with it on our first try, unlocking the meat and potatoes of the rest of the game. But before that, we need to prepare a little. We find a spider cave and hunt down the spiders inside for their fangs, and make ourselves an upgrade in the way of the web clicker, which I thought would be more useful honestly, but we ball, and we begin the arduous task of lava fishing. I love fishing in video games. For some reason, lava fishing in Terraria frustrates me to no end, but it has an item we need. The hot keychain, which instead of placing slime on screen like the sticky keychain, it adds a delayed fiery click that deals extra damage. But don't worry, our slime keychain will be back soon. We break some altars, unlocking the hard mode ores, collecting a bunch of them, upgrading our forge, our anvil, our clicker, and our armor in the process, when we're jumped by the destroyer, who reminds us just how weak we are and how bad at the game I actually am. Killing us before I could even deal 5,000 damage, but we persevere, upgrading our storage and making an arena in the hallowed biome next to our base. We then deal with a large group of pirates who, despite, again, killing us multiple times, we eventually defeat, giving us another new clicker that drops from one of the captains in the process, which causes a barrage of cannonballs to rain down after a set amount of clicks. Very useful. Checking our boss list, we can see that Queen Slime is next, which is perfect. She drops an item we badly need, and it's only a 25% drop chance, so it shouldn't take that many attempts, right? Well, you assumed wrong. It took us beating her 9 times to get this supposed 25% drop chance item. Hell, we got a slime staff from one of her minions before we got the item we wanted. But I digress. We all know that Terraria gives you the item you want the most last. It doesn't matter. We got it in the end. And now with her clear keychain, which causes a crystallized debuff every 15 seconds, making our next click release a burst of crystal shards, dealing a percentage of our damage, we can now combine all three, the hot keychain, the sticky keychain, and the clear keychain, into a single accessory, granting us all 3 abilities. A very worthwhile trade, I think. So using our new arena and accessory, I think it's time for a little revenge. And with minimum damage, we're able to deal with the destroyer. I guess I built the hallowed biome arena just high enough off the ground that he couldn't connect to it, granting us hallowed bars, which allow us to make the next clicker, and challenge the next mechanical boss, the twins, who, I'm now learning that I suck at fighting through these challenges. But we beat them, that's the main thing. We may have done it at 1 HP and died straight after. A win is a win, we take it, and then challenge Skeletron Prime, the last of the mechanical bosses. Who weirdly was much easier to defeat than either of the previous ones. Maybe it's because of the new shoes we made after beating the twins.
Got the Thomas Jefferson 76s.
We gather up the souls that drop from all 3 of the mechanical bosses and use them to craft the new overclocker armor added with the mod, which of course boosts our cursor damage, and head straight to setting up an arena for Pandora. And we run circles around her. Literally. Probably one of the easier bosses of this challenge again. Then we head to the temple. Only the entrance for now though, as we need to farm some enemies to upgrade our clicker again, and then we'll head back. I'm starting to think I might just be bad at Terraria, as the temple shows us who's boss quite a few times before we end up in possibly one of the worst temple boss rooms I've ever had the displeasure of seeing. We challenge Golem and die, and challenge him again and die again. Not for a lack of skill, no, purely because of how small the room is, I promise. We use the items dropped by the lizard enemies in the temple and make ourselves more, you guessed it, armor, and challenge Golem for the last time. But I made a mistake.
I made a mistake.
Mistake!
Yes.
And I forgot to record while beating Golem the first time. So we challenged him again, and beat him a second time in a row, in this awful room, just for the footage. But after defeating it twice, technically, we were able to make beetle wings, which are finally some wings worth having in this challenge. We deal with a cheeky little Martian invasion and head straight for the cultists. I love this class, but at this point I'm more than ready to be done with the challenge. At this point I'm maybe 4 days into recording and I've cut a lot of deaths, but we ball. We challenge the cultists and slowly chip it away at their health bar, with our new accessory, Big Red Button, which causes AoE explosions, playing a very useful role in the fight. The cultists eventually fall, causing the pillars to rise, and us to only be one more step away from the final step of this challenge. We ram our head into the Stardust and Vortex pillars until they fall, giving us access to the new mice fragments, allowing us to upgrade our clicker one more time, which causes a vortex that pulls enemies into it, making it the perfect clicker for pillars, honestly. It's a shame we've only got access to it now, so we use it and some of our many health potions and deal with the final two. The end is nigh. The Moon Lord approacheth, and the Moon Lord taketh our life. So we keep challenging, again and again. But enough is enough. I'm sick of aiming. We make ourselves the aimbot accessory, which automatically makes our clicks attack the closest target in range. When combined with our gamer crate, we no longer need to worry about attacking of any kind. All we have to do is hold left click. So we put all of our energy into attempting to dodge and summon the Moon Lord for the final time. Using our Martian Saucer to try and help avoid most of his attacks, we lock in. And we finally beat him, completing this challenge and giving us access to our final clicker, the Lord's Clicker. I unironically had a lot of fun with this class, even if the fights were challenging due to the slightly lower damage and my lack of skill. I feel like the clicker class would be a great addition to like a group modded playthrough or something similar. Who knows, maybe that's something we could do in the future. If you've sat through this much of the video, I commend you. They're definitely not the best quality of video out there in terms of editing or skill, but if you did enjoy it, let me know. Maybe like or comment a challenge you'd like to see me attempt in the future.